Hello, Brenda here, and I just want to make sure that, I see myself going live. Welcome to day 2 of our Threshold Summit. I am one of the authors in Threshold Stories of an Initiation. My book came today, so I hope yours is on the way. If you are tactile and like the hard copy, they are now available on Amazon. And I'm going to be honest, I am nervous. So if you see me take a pause or a breath or feel like I'm not sure what I'm going to say, well, it's in my nerves. And so I do have some notes that I'm going to be referring to. And so thank you for your patience and your graciousness as you just allow me a moment when you see me of just trying to get back on track. I do have my phone set up here on the side, so I should be able to see your comments, and I'm going to try. If it doesn't work, then I will respond to your comments afterwards. But my chapter in the book is titled The Courage to Change the Things I Can. And it was my threshold moment of acknowledging and accepting that something had to change. And the only thing I could change was me. And the child that was the biggest instigator in that threshold moment for me is the child who died in September due to his addiction. So my story is wrapped around my healing journey, as well as the grief I've experienced since he died. But as you're going to listen, the grief that I've realized I've really carried all my life over different things. So my topic today is embracing the grief in your life. And whether you've physically lost someone that you loved to death, I do challenge you to just stay listening anyway, because I think you're going to find that if you've never lost someone, you still may be carrying grief. And it affects you when we don't process things and we hold on to things within our bodies, that it eventually erupts in our behaviors, our thoughts, our actions, perceptions, so on and so forth. So please continue watching and be open and willing to explore your dark corners and take a part in this unique experience and learn how to adapt to the changes in your life that grief may bring or has already brought. The intention in this next 30-40 minutes or so is to really help you learn to bring light into those dark moments in your life. I'm first going to read an excerpt from my chapter where I specifically talk about grief. It starts on page 51. Grief changes you. It changes your DNA. My body grieved the loss of Ian heavily for months. It felt like physical pain, feeling like I had been hit by a freight train. I tried exercise and somatic therapy to help my body feel better. It wasn't until I used my own healing tool of going within and listening to my body that the aches and pains of grief began to recede. My body told me I carried Ian in my womb for 9 months. I birthed him into this world. I gave life to him. I love him. I miss him. Once I acknowledged the pain that my body was holding, this grief, these aches and pains, the feeling like I had been hit by a freight train receded. and I haven't felt aches and pains like that since. Now, I don't consider myself an expert on grief, but I do believe that I have a very unique perspective of it because of my healing journey and because of my level of consciousness and my awareness. In the past 10 months, I've found myself carrying grief and learning how to move forward very differently than most grieving people that I've observed. First, let's talk about grief a little bit. I think we all know what grief is, but grief is more than, like I said at the beginning, grief is more than the death of someone, than physically losing a person. Grief is also in the death of a dream, whether it's your dream or the dreams and the plans that you had for your children. It can be, grief is found in the loss of an illusion. If you've gotten a divorce, you might have found yourself grieving the loss of the illusion, the marriage, the life that you had expected yourself and your partner to have. You might be grieving the loss of a career. I have a colleague at work who didn't get to fulfill his dream of college ball because of an injury in high school. His mom still grieves the loss of seeing him and believing that he was going to be a coach. 5, 6, 7, 10 years later, both of them are still trying to process this loss and adapt to this new changes going forward. Grief is in loss of property. If you've lost your home to a natural disaster, fire or flood, tornado, you can grieve the loss of your home, of your possessions. But the last one, the one I find most resonant with my life, is grief is in unmet expectations. Whenever we set expectations and they're not met, the disappointment, the letdown, all of those things that go around it, if we don't process that well in a healthy way, your bodies can just hold on to that grief, those unmet expectations, and affect you. That's what I've learned in the last 10 months as I've grieved and mourned and grieved the loss of my son, is that I discovered I've been carrying grief my whole life. I recognized it because it was a familiar feeling. I'm like, I have felt these things before. Not the physical, I'll be honest. I haven't felt the physical parts of grief from the past. But the other things, the sadness, the sorrow, the loss. And I had to sit with those feelings in the last 10 months and allow myself to feel them, to honor them, to let them have their due course so that my body could process them in a healthy way and so that they wouldn't get caught and trapped in my energy, in my body. And as I was doing this, all the other instances of when I felt this way kept coming to mind. So it was through this process that my body began to let go of the grief that I've been holding, as well as all the emotions that were attached to that, even as I grieved and mourned the death of my son. But I had to face it. I had to acknowledge it. I had to acknowledge what I was feeling. When I was sad, I had to acknowledge it. When the tears came, I had to let them fall. I couldn't shove it or deny it. This process of acknowledging what your body is holding on to is part of the healing journey as well as the grieving journey, and it requires brave and courageous action. This healing, learning to carry your grief step by step, layer by layer, and becoming a better version of yourself in this new and different time. So, in my humble opinion, acknowledgement is the first step to healing. And it is the first step in my Heal Your Body process that I talk about in my chapter. And it's also the steps the first step that I am working with my clients on. So I said this was going to be a unique experience. So we're going to try something. I'm going to walk you through this process of how can you learn to acknowledge what you're feeling. So make yourself comfortable. Close the door, make sure there's no interruptions or distractions. Grab a journal and a pen, have that handy. And then I want you to close your eyes right where you are. Make yourself comfortable. But if you're driving and listening, make sure your eyes stay on the road. Now go ahead and close your eyes for a moment. And just take some slow, deep breaths in and out your nose. Allow your eyes to soften. Your jaw to be slightly open. And your shoulders to drop. With every breath, you're letting go of any ego and judgment. Getting deeper and deeper into your body. And with this next breath, silently repeat right on the in-breath and here on the out-breath. Right here. Breathing in right and breathing out here. And now take one more longer, slower, deeper breath in and out your nose, bringing just a little more calmness, quiet to your nervous system. And then softly turn your focus to your heart, which is the connection to your body, your mind, body, soul system. And as you focus on your heart, I want you to silently ask yourself in your mind, what do I need to acknowledge? No judgment, no attachment, trusting that first thing that comes to you. What do I need to acknowledge? when you're ready, open your eyes and jot down what came to you. So how do you feel? Are you aware of some things that you weren't expecting? I know that for me, most recently, I've had to acknowledge that I've been losing mobility and I've been going back to old and unhealthy patterns. So if you're watching and doing, I invite you to be brave and courageous and pop in the comments of a word or two of what you had to acknowledge. This is another part of the healing journey, is sharing. Getting out what's within and sharing it out loud, speaking it out loud, is also a tremendous part of healing. And when we share it and get it out to the universe, it allows our bodies to begin to embody and integrate this new awareness, creating a shift. So sometimes when we're in the muck and mire, and this is no matter what it is, grief, disappointment, discouragement, bad day at work, sometimes when we're in that muck and mire, simply acknowledging is all the body needs to shift something. And then that leads me to the second step in my Heal Your Body process, which is called acceptance, which is why my chapter is titled The Courage to Change the Things I Can. Because you see, I had to acknowledge and then accept that I couldn't live this way anymore, that I couldn't stay this way, that something had to change, and the only thing that I could change was me. That acceptance was huge, because that acceptance puts you at choice. At choice. You can do nothing and stay the same, or you can choose to make a small shift and begin to change your trajectory and change your course. When we deny or shove down what we're feeling, or say it's too much, or I can't, when we begin to say those things, friend, that is your mind. Your mind, your subconscious that wants to keep you safe and protected, works along with your mind and the lies that it has about you and your life and what you're supposed to be doing. It's trying to keep you right where you are, feeling the same way, staying in the same situation, repeating the same words over and over. This is a fear and resistance cycle. We all go through it. We all have it. It's just a matter of how long are you going to stay in it? I know it's hard. I know it's scary. I know that leaning in and looking at the deep, dark corners, the shadow parts of me, the things that I don't want people to know, the hurts and the wounds and the grief over unmet expectations when people let me down. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to acknowledge that. I just rather keep that hidden. But it also held me back, holds you back. That's why, whether you're on a healing journey or a grieving journey, whatever, they're kind of both the same in my world. The inner work is so important, and the inner work is so worth it. It's necessary for you to heal, and it's necessary for you to raise your frequency, change your vibration, so that you begin to shift and move into that person that you're designed to be and to live the life that you were meant to live. And if your life includes the loss of someone, a partner, a child, a parent, I am so sorry. I understand how you feel. I know for me, losing a child, I said things like, we're never meant to. Parents are never meant to bury their children. There's a part of me that believes that. There's also a part of me, if you read my chapter, that understands my son's journey, his sole purpose, his sole mission, which is, and because I understand that, and because I understand the totality of his life, my grief appears so much different than many of the people I've observed. My perspective of grief and how I grieve is so different than so many that I watch. So it's time for exercise. It's time to go within again. And let's find out, what is it you need to know? What does your body need you to accept? So close your eyes again. And take a deep breath in and out your nose. Your eyes soften. Your jaw is slightly open. And let your shoulders drop. Now taking one more longer, slower, deeper breath in. Hold at the top for a moment and exhale. Turning your attention again back to your heart. And this time silently asking yourself, what do I need to accept? Again, no judgment, no attachment. The first thing that comes to you, what do I need to accept? And when you're ready, open your eyes and write down what came to you. What did your body tell you that you needed to accept? Again, I encourage you to write it in the comments. Allow that, speaking it to the universe, getting it out of your mind, your body, and into the world to help your body integrate and embody this new truth. For me, I had to accept that I'm no longer the woman I was last August before I got the call. I will never be her again. Remember, DNA, grief changes your DNA, especially if it was a child. I had to learn to give myself grace and reduce the expectations that I placed upon myself. These are all the things that I had to accept in order for me to move into that next step, the third step. So friend, if you're doing this and you're following along, you now have 2 key pieces of information from your body, your mind, body, soul system, and that's gold. And these 2 things are going to help you move forward. because the third step is action. Even imperfect action moves you forward. And that's the third step in my Heal Your Body process. Now, if you're actively grieving, moving forward may seem like a mountain that you need to climb. And you may feel like you're never going to see the top. And some of you may feel like, hell, I'm never even going to make it to the base of the mountain, even to begin to climb, because there is so much in front of me. And I can barely do what I am doing. And friend, if that's where you find yourself, if that's where you are, it's okay. It's okay. I know for a long period of time, and I still have some days, where all I have the energy for is to just do the things I've got to do to get through the day. Grace. So much grace. Accepting. Acknowledge where I'm at. Accept it. Give myself grace. And maybe there's one way that, one action that I can do today as I carry my grief and move forward. And this is where I call, instead of action for the grieving, it's a smaller step calling adapt. Because the definition of adapt is becoming adjusted to new conditions. So no matter what you're grieving, the loss of someone, the loss of property, the loss of the life that you thought you were going to have, all of that includes adjusting to new conditions. Yes, Mona, completely. Reminding you of the old patterns, are reminding you of where you've come from. Beautiful. So if you're unsure of what steps you need to take, or maybe you just know what they are, but there's so many of them. Sometimes I get overwhelmed with all of my choices, and that puts me in freeze mode. So we're going to go within one last time and find out how you need to adapt right now, right here, where you are. So one last time. Go ahead and close your eyes. Shifting and moving and making yourself comfortable in your chair. Slow and steady breaths in and out your nose. You're aware of what you need to acknowledge. Aware of what you need to accept. Now turn your attention back to your heart and silently ask, how do I need to adapt to this new awareness? No judgment, no attachment. Trusting that first thing that comes to you. How do I need to adapt to this new awareness? when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes and jot down what came to you. And I encourage you one last time, pop it in the comments of what you need to adapt to this new awareness. For me, in the story that I've been telling through this experience, my adapt looks more like stretching more often throughout my day, adding in a little bit more movement throughout my day, up and down the steps an extra time, or going to my park, my favorite park, and knowing that I'm just going to walk to the first bench and then I'm going to sit and be and enjoy. And then when I have the energy, I'm going to walk to the next bench and sit and be and enjoy. I'm having to start all over on my health and well-being journey that I was on last summer. No longer can I go walking in the woods 3 or 4 times a week. I am not the woman I was last August. I am a new me. Grief changed me. And I'm having to accept to do what I can. Shifting the energy that my body's holding, allowing it, giving it time, honoring it, acknowledge, accept, adapting, helping my body to process, so that I don't find myself in crisis mode or overexertion because I did too much when I didn't have the energy for it. My body wasn't ready. So this acknowledge, accept, adapt. The tools that you learn today through this meditation and learning to go within, focusing on your heart, using your breath to calm your nervous system, using these questions will serve you so much in the next coming days, weeks, months, years of learning to just trust what comes through and asking, allowing your body to be your guide. Because every time you go within and use your own inner guidance system versus someone else, very nice, Mona. Being out of your comfort zone already, that's a huge one. It's hard to come out of our comfort zone, but it is so beneficial and so worthwhile. And using your anxiety into excitement. Because sometimes I think anxiety is that tricky one, that sometimes it can be anxiety that holds you back, but it really is like something that you're excited about. So that's a huge awareness to be able to dial in which one is it. So I just know that every time you choose to go within, to hear your truths, you help your body heal. And it takes brave and courageous action to lean into some of these deep, dark parts of us. But when we do, layer by layer, step by step, healing happens. And when you lean into those dark parts, you also bring light to them. The light that is needed to shift and move it out. I think you'll be surprised to find out how much you can shift your own energy by acknowledging, accepting, and adapting. 1 degree of change can make a difference. So that ends my conversation for today. But I do want to say that if you're grieving the loss of someone and you'd like some support, like you just experienced, just walked through, I have a Grief Embraced program that starts the middle of August. This is a small group, 10-week program that will be done live on Zoom that is intentionally designed to take you through a transformational process, just like you experienced here. Leaning into the uncomfortable, leaning into the hard parts of grief and the loss of someone. But you're also going to begin to hear your truth and trust it. And this program and this process will help you learn to adapt to your new life while you carry grief. So if this is something you'd like more information about, put grief in the comments and I will reach out to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting all the authors in this book launch and in this summit that's going on this week. We are so thankful for you. Much love and compassion. Blessings.